going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 24 Ultimate Team video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the best 96 and 97 overall Combine players to be using, also the best abilities and X Factors for them, and we're going to talk about Motivators Chem. We got a lot to discuss in this video. The Combine promo might be the best promo of the entire year, and it gave us so many really good cards. Now, at the very moment, a lot of them are very, very expensive for most of you, and I totally understand if you can't afford them. One thing I want to say before we get into the bulk of this video is keep in mind that this Thursday we're getting the Team of the Year promo, which is likely to feature 97 overall champions and 98 overall LTDs, which means a lot of these Combine cards could drop in price. Now, are they going to be dirt cheap? More than likely not. Could the Team of the Year be disappointing and these cards still be the best in the game? Absolutely. But use this video or keep it in mind as you go after some of these cards if they do drop in price. We're going to cover everything, basically all of them. I want to talk about the attributes. I'm going to show you some gameplay footage with some of them. We're going to talk about abilities, X Factors, Motivator Chems. One very important thing before we go over the cards is the strategy item for the Combine promo. You get this at the second level of the Combine Field Pass, so super easy to earn. It's going to plus a bunch of attributes. The most important one, of course, is speed. So any of these Combine players, they come by default with their team chem. If you change it over to a Combine chemistry, this strategy item will impact them and guarantee them at least +1 speed. Now, LTDs get all Motivator Chems. The other cards, the 96 champions, they get specific Motivator Chems, but it's yet another way to boost up attributes on these cards. So if you take a look here, we got the Acrobat Motivator, the Stop and Go Motivator. Stop and Go gives you +2 to change the direction, agility, pursue, and man coverage. So there's just crazy ways to be able to boost these cards. I mean, I want to show you this Tariq Woolen. I think I'm at 14 of 15 Combine players, so I don't even really have a Combine theme team, but because the Combine chemistry is activated on this card, that strategy item that you get free from the Field Pass will give boosts. And then we do have the Motivator here in Acrobat. I mean, look at the attributes here. This is an endgame card. 99 speed, 99 man, 99 zone. He's 6'4". Now, again, I totally get it. This is like a 2 million, might even be more expensive, but it's like a 2 million coin card. So everybody's not going to be able to afford it, but I more so just wanted to show you the power of these cards with attributes, boosts, Motivator Chems, and strategy items, and we haven't even talked about abilities and X Factors yet. So what I want to do is go to the catalog where we're at right now, and I'm going to go through every 97 and 96 overall card and talk about what I like about it, what I don't like, recommended X Factors and abilities. We'll show you some gameplay for the cards that I actually use. The video might be a little bit long here, so lock in because this is going to be some important information. So first off, we have Patrick Willis, probably the best middle linebacker in the game. I haven't used this card yet. 6'1", 96 speed, 98 block shed, 98 hit power, 96 zone, and if you scroll down a little bit further here, he also is going to give you 65 man coverage. So he's not as versatile as Isaiah Simmons, but still a very good card. Now, when it comes to the X Factors, all of these players basically have a few X Factors to choose from. You only get 3 on offense and 3 on defense, but some of them cost 1 AP, some cost 0 AP. They basically turn on after 9 plays into the game and stay on for the rest of the game. So Avalanche is good, but I don't think it's worth one of your 3 spots on X Factors on defense. A Dual Threat is really good. I don't like that it costs you the 1 AP, but it is a really good ability. I used it a ton on Mr. Monday Night. This one basically gives you better block sheds when you're trying to rush the passer, and it also gives you knockouts. So it's almost like a mid-zone KO, but anywhere on the field. Colossus is great, but it's going to be better suited for guys on the defensive line. So for Patrick Willis, I would definitely recommend, if you're going to go with an X Factor on him, Dual Threat is the best option. His discounted ability buckets, he gets mid-zone KO for 1 AP. If you're rocking Dual Threat, you don't need to waste AP on mid-zone KO. Dual Threat will take care of it. I don't think interior threat's worth it. And deep route KO, unless you're going to put him in a ton of man coverage, which remember, his man coverage is 65. This is a worthless ability. So really, I think the ideal setup for him is to go Lurk Artist, because if a linebackers need Lurk Artist, there's no doubt about it. So Lurk Artist for 0 AP and Dual Threat for 1 AP. If you don't have X Factor slots available, you can go mid-zone KO and Lurk Artist, but that's going to be the best setup for this card. Deep in zone KO and medium route KO are nice for 0 AP, but you have to have Lurk Artist on this card. Vernon Davis, probably the best tight end in the game, but the thing with this one is that most of you have that free Kyle Pitts card from the MCS Super Bowl, so unless you really need this for a theme team or you have millions upon millions of coins, I just don't think this card is worth the coin that it costs right now. And as far as his X Factors and abilities, like Double Me's not worth it, Backyard Tight End's probably not worth it. A lot of people right now have Hot Route Master quarterback. So his X Factor slots, I just wouldn't go with. Bruiser, not worth it on a non-running back. Route Tech is solid this year, but not worth the 1 AP on a tight end. Deep Elite, I haven't had a ton of experience with, so I can't really speak to this one, but I'm not a fan of his 1 AP abilities. 0 AP abilities, if you don't have a Hot Route Master quarterback, tight end apprentice is going to give you those 4 additional hot routes, and then you basically have the choice of these two again. So Vernon Davis, good card, but there's a lot of good position, or a lot of other options at this position that are much less expensive, and I'm just not in love with his X Factors or his abilities. We are going to get to quarterback Bo Jackson eventually, but this LTD Anthony Richardson, really good card. He throws the ball very well. He gets it out quickly. We'll go over his X Factors and abilities in a moment, but if you take a look, the biggest difference between him and Bo Jackson is going to be that throw under pressure. Anthony Richardson is 97. Bo's, I think, is 88. Now, when it comes to his X Factors, this is where I think Bo Jackson is actually better, because Anthony Richardson, he's going to get past lead elite. To me, for 1 AP, not worth it. I mean, if you can survive those first 9 plays without that ability and only throw like screens and table routes and run the ball, go for it. I have no experience with the Master Tactician X Factor / ability, but I'm not going to recommend it either because it just doesn't look like it's worth the 1 AP. What I used when I had this card was Escape Artist. Now, this is a really nice ability or X Factor when it's activated to get out and run, but what it doesn't prevent is fumbling, and if he gets hit, he's going to fumble occasionally, whereas on the Bo Jackson, we'll show you, he gets that Truz X Factor, and with him, it's also 0 AP, just like Escape Artist. When you run with him, he's obviously a running back playing quarterback. He's just simply not going to fumble. He's going to fall forward a lot, so that's really the biggest difference between the two cards. That and price, of course, Bo Jackson is much cheaper. Anthony Richardson, I paid about $1.3 million for him. For the abilities, he has a Slinger 3 release, but I still recommend Gunslinger. So what I personally did is I went Hot Route Master for 2 AP. In this bucket, I went Set Feet Lead for 2 AP. And then in this bucket, I went with Gunslinger for a total of 6 AP. Again, just to recap, really good at throwing the ball, but because he's much more expensive than Bo Jackson, and because of the X Factor, I would lean towards Bo. I already showed you my chemmed up version of the Tariq Woolen card. Here are the base attributes. If you run a lot of zone, I don't want to call him a must-have because he's so expensive, but he's going to be one of the best zone corners in the game. Here's the thing, very expensive, and he still gets beat when you press him with no safety help over the top, whereas DRC, who we're going to show you in a moment, does not. Really good card, great attributes, tall, gets good abilities as well, but for the price that he's at right now, unless you have millions of coins again, probably shouldn't go after this one. As far as his X Factors go, reinforcement is really good. Universal coverage is really good as well. The tough thing with X Factors is most people have 2 of them on their defensive line. That only leaves you 1 for your entire secondary, your linebacker. So for me, I would love to use universal coverage on this card. I just don't have any X Factor ability slots open left for him. But we might have to try that out eventually. So for me, I went with Deep Zone KO for 1 AP. Even though I play a ton of man, I do drop him back in zone occasionally just because of this ability. And then in the second to last bucket, I went with Pick Artist. That's what I would recommend here because the deep in zone KO and deep out zone KO is all combined within this ability, and there's very few players that get it for 1 AP, and of course Pick Artist, you're just going to need it for a higher chance of catching those interceptions. Darius Hayward-Bay, I mean, he's got 99 speed. With that strategy item, you don't need anything else. I don't want to call him a one-trick pony because he actually has good route running and catching on this card, unlike his Ghost card, but another very expensive one, and with Team of the Year on the way and so many other good cards, we're going to be seeing a lot of 99 speed receivers with chemistry soon. So if you got the coin, go out and buy it. If not, don't. Yak 'em Up is a really underrated X Factor here. So once it's activated, when you catch the ball, if it's a one-on-one situation, especially against a defensive back, you're usually going to break that tackle. Now you pair that along with the fact that if you take a look towards the back end of the buckets here, he gets evasive for 0 AP. That's a pretty good combination for those yards after the catch on this card. Other than that, I go back to the last ability bucket here. I just wouldn't spend the 1 AP on him. So Yak 'em Up and evasive is the ideal setup for this card in my opinion. Harrison Phillips, really underrated here. You could look at him as like another version of Warren Sapp from the Super Bowl promo. Only 82 speed. Sapp I think has 90, but you got 99 strength, 99 block shed, 97 power move, 90 finesse move. Just a really good combination of attributes here. And as far as the X Factors go, he's going to get that unstoppable force for 1 AP. He's also going to get Colossus for 1 AP. I don't know which one's better. We'll talk about that when we get to Brian Arakpo. For me, so far, unstoppable force is good, but this one, either way, is going to give you a lot of sheds. Colossus seems seems to be more geared towards defensive tackles because it's dominant against double teams, and if you pair that up with the fact that he's going to get inside stuff for 1 AP, there's a way to neutralize inside stuff if you double team them. Well, if you factor in Colossus, now that double team doesn't essentially matter there. So I would go, if I'm going to use this card, Colossus and inside stuff. Unfortunately, it's going to cost you a total of 2 AP. The other one I would go with here, because it's 0 AP, is Secure Tackler. This is going to be really good against halfback Bo Jackson with that Angry Runs X Factor. Emmitt Smith, the AKA card that came out last week, gets it as well, and I'm sure we're going to see a handful of running backs in the near future that start to get those X Factors as well, especially if they rehash the Gus Bus and the Quadfather and the Cordero Patterson card. Julio Jones, I'm going to tell you, from an Eagle fan who got this card on an Eagles team, he is not worth the coin. Very, very good, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there's a lot of receivers that have similar speed, similar height, that can do just the same that he can. With that being said, I'm probably going to keep the card, but I just don't think it's worth the coin at the end of the day here. So he gets the Most X Factor, which is basically 55 yards and plus 1v1 aggressive catches. He's going to come down with them most of the time. The problem is there's so many players out there that have deep out zone KO or deep route KO or deep zone KO that even with this turned on, it's still going to force the ball loose. So that one kind of gets nullified way too frequently to spend the 1 AP on it, in my opinion. I never really felt like Rack 'em Up is worth it. If you have an X Factor slot available, it is 0 AP, so you can go ahead and turn it on, but it's just never been a great X Factor for me. And then as far as his abilities go, I just don't think he has the greatest abilities either. So Short Elite and Deep Elite, I haven't really tested these, so I can't fully speak to them. Mid and Elite is not worth the 1 AP. In the second to last bucket, Red Zone Threat is good because it's free. Third Down Threat is good because it's free. And if you're not using a Hot Route Master, Quarterback, Wide Receiver, Apprentice for 1 AP is very good, but I feel like this card missed a little bit out on the X Factors and the abilities. Rashad Jones, probably the weakest of all the LTDs that came out here. Not bad attributes at the end of the day, and he's going to be really good for man coverage schemes at safety. As far as his X Factors go, he's going to get reinforcement. Run Stuffer is not worth it in my opinion here on a safety, and One Step Ahead actually is really good, especially for 0 AP if you're going to keep him in man coverage all the time. If you mix up your coverage a lot, the last ability bucket, he does get deep out zone KO for 1 AP. It would be nicer if this was deep zone KO for 1 AP, but deep out will suffice. Inside stuff will be incredibly stupid to use. Same with Tackle Supreme, unless you're going to have him as a sub linebacker, but I just think he's better off in coverage because of those X Factors. In the second to last bucket, Pick Artist for 0 is a must have, and then, you know, unfortunately, like I said, he doesn't have that deep zone KO. If you were going to play him as a sub linebacker, you're probably going to want to go mid zone KO for 0 over Pick Artist, but for a high safety, Pick Artist is better. As somebody who runs man-to-man coverage 95% of the time, if they gave this Bo Jackson 1 step ahead as an X Factor, he would absolutely be on my team. Not to say he's a bad card, really good attributes. I think he's really good as a slot defender as well, because you can blitz him with that 98 speed that can easily go to 99 speed. If you take a look at his X Factors, he's going to get bottleneck. The only reason I don't like this one is because press man coverage is so bad this year. I don't know if bottleneck's even going to help that. Avalanche is worthless to me on a cornerback. Dual threat is very good, but I just don't like paying the 1 AP on it on a defensive back here. But those are going to be your 3 options for the X Factors, and he does give you abilities that complement a man coverage corner. So deep route KO for 1 AP is probably the option I would go with here. Inside Shade's not worth the 2 AP at this point in the year. Medium route KO is good, but deep route KO is going to be a lot better. And then you're basically going to have to go Pick Artist on this card for the 0. Short route KO is good. Acrobat is solid, but Pick Artist is more important with all of these being 0 AP. Tight end Bo Jackson is another one I just wasn't interested in. He kind of seems geared more towards running the ball, even though he only has 70 run block. I would just continue to use that free Kyle Pitts, as I said earlier when we talked about Vernon Davis. Secure Protector on a tight end, to me, not worth it. Yak 'em Up can be good. We talked about that with the Darius Hayward Bay card earlier, and Vanguard is going to be your cheesiest way to play with this card. Even though he has low run block, this one is going to help you run the ball. A lot of people using Vanguard and running RPO stretches, unfortunately. I think you're going to run into that a lot more frequently in the future, the very near future. So that's probably the ability I would recommend. As far as X Factor, as far as abilities go, none of these are worth it for 1 AP. And then the second to last bucket, you know, maybe Bruiser because of after the catch. Tight end Apprentice for free is good if you don't have a Hot Route Master, and Route Tech for 2 AP on a tight end's not worth it. So for this one, I just don't like anything on it other than the attributes. Right outside linebacker Bo Jackson Jackson, very good for coverage and usering, 98 speed, 94 block shed, 97 power move, so he can get to the quarterback and stop the run. And if you take a look at his coverage attributes, 97 man, 97 zone, very easy to get those up closer to 99 as well. I don't use any X factors on him, but dual threat would probably be my favorite in this situation. I wouldn't really touch Unstoppable Force or Avalanche because he's so good at coverage. And then as far as the abilities go, Secure Tackler for 0 almost kind of feels like a must, again, because of these running backs with the Derrick Henry, Angry Runs, X Factor. I tried Inside Shade on him, just simply not worth it. It doesn't do much. Enforcer Supreme, I don't think is worth the 1 AP as well. You do need Lurk Artist on this card because he's a linebacker and not a safety. And again, Inside Shade, Deep Route KO, not worth it in the same bucket where Lurk Artist is 0 AP. Quarterback, Bo Jackson, best quarterback in the game right now. Again, I know he has that 88 throw under pressure, but I never really noticed it. He has traditional 4 release, which is the best release in the game. That also means that you might not need Gunslinger. I still personally used it on this card. And we talked about his X Factor earlier. The Truz X Factor is really good once it's turned on because you can use his quarterback card as a running back and scramble. He's really fast with the 98 speed plus this, and the fact that he's not going to fumble is huge, so definitely go that route. And then again, the setup I went with personally was Set Feet Lead for 2 AP, Hot Route Master for 1 AP, and I did spend the 2 AP on Gunslinger, but it's not 100% necessary to do so. Finally, the last Bo Jackson is going to be halfback Bo Jackson, and easily the best running back in the game here. So for his X Factor, you 100% want to go with Angry Runs. Once it turns on after 9 plays, he usually breaks the first tackle unless you run into a double team tackle or somebody with Secure Tackler or Tackle Supreme, but he's just a beast at the end of the day. And for abilities, I personally went with Evasive for 0 AP in the last bucket. If you run the ball a ton, you can certainly go with Tank here, but I did like the Evasive for 0 AP, and then he gets access to Tank and Bruiser for 1 AP. I just didn't want to spend the AP on him, so I got 1 AP on Angry Runs and then 0 AP on Evasive. Easily, as I said, the best running back in the game. I promise when I say this, no Eagles theme team bias. DRC Combine card, probably my favorite card in the game right now. Again, because I play so much man coverage, this card is crucial to me. Now, he does have really low press, but when we talk about his X Factor, which is going to be 1 step ahead, I have 0 problems and 0 concerns leaving him on one-on-one coverage, pressed with no safety help over the top. I can count 1 time that he was smoked in that situation with this inside stuff, or I'm sorry, with this 1 step ahead. It turns on after 9 plays and it costs 0 AP. It's going to give you faster reactions in man coverage. Now, when you pair that with the fact that he gets Deep Route KO for 1 AP, even if he gets beat a little bit, 1 step ahead keeps him in range for the Deep Route KO to activate and get tons of knockouts. Again, why I'm okay with leaving him in one-on-one coverage with no help over the top. Then, of course, you're going to want to go with your standard pick artist for 0 AP on a defensive back, but I just cannot stress this enough. My favorite card in the game right now, if you run a lot of man coverage, this is a must-have. If you need a middle linebacker and you're trying to decide between Patrick Willis and Isaiah Simmons, I'm going to recommend Isaiah Simmons because he's simply cheaper, and I think he's more well-rounded. We talked about Patrick Willis and the lack of his man coverage. If you take a look at Isaiah Simmons, he's going to give you 91 man coverage and 93 zone, along with all of the great attributes that he has there as a user. Now, when it comes to his X Factors, you can go Lurk Artist here, which is going to cost you 0 AP, and it's a good way to combine that plus mid-zone KO for 0 AP, but the problem is it takes an X Factor slot, and I hate using an X Factor slot on something like Lurk Artist that's such a common attribute, such a common ability. Avalanche and Bottleneck also not going to be worth it to me, so I would go with no X Factors on this card. As far as the abilities go, you can go Deep Zone KO if you're going to play him as a sub linebacker. He's still going to get those reactions up the field and outside of the hash marks because of this ability, and you got to go Lurk Artist for 0 AP. The biggest problem with this card is he can't get Lurk Artist and mid-zone KO together, even if you had to spend the 1 AP on it. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been surprisingly good, but I wouldn't go out and get this card just for the simple fact that you also have a free Justin Jefferson that you can earn right now in the competitive pass, which is a very similar card here, and he doesn't get the most amazing attributes, or sorry, X Factors and abilities. So when we look at his X Factors, he gets double me, which is good, but we talked about with knockouts being so prevalent that this one's going to get nullified way too often. Rack him up, we talked about with Julio, is just not good. If you want to use an X Factor slot on Evasive after the catch, he's going to get those jukes and probably make some people miss, but is it worth one of the 3 X Factor slots on offense? To me, probably not. And then as far as abilities go, you know, none of these to me are worth 1 or 2 AP. And then in the second to last bucket, you can go red zone threat. I think I have Acrobat on him, but I barely have seen it activate. And outside apprentice is good if you run a scheme where you can take advantage of those additional hot routes, but he just doesn't get the greatest abilities or X factors. So far, Brian Arakpo has been disappointing for me, but I'm going to make a change this afternoon to see if he plays any better. So he has good attributes, one of the better pass rushers in the game, minus that 82 finesse move. Everything else looks really good on him. As far as the X factors go, I'm right now using Colossus. I played probably 8 games with him. He's only made 2 plays, and both of those plays were without Colossus even activated yet. So I think I'm going to try him with Unstoppable Force and see if he plays any better without it or with it and without Colossus. Run Stuffer is not worth it at all. You're going to want to go with one of these two. Another reason why I do like this card from an ability standpoint is in the second to last bucket, he's going to get double or nothing for 0 AP, which to me is the best non-X Factor pass rushing ability in the game, and he might be the only card in the game that gets it for 0 AP. So you can combine that with Colossus or Unstoppable Force, and that's it. If you want to use any of these other options here, I mean, we talked about Tackle Supreme and Secure Tackler. No Outsiders isn't worth 1 AP, and Edge Threat and Edge Threat Elite stink this year. Justin Simmons has been kind of hot and cold for me. Some games he makes a ton of plays, other games he's not even noticeable on the field, which sometimes isn't a bad thing with the defensive back. To me, this is a better version of Super Bowl Ronnie Lott because he has better attributes. Number 1, you can see him here, and number 2, he gets better abilities. So for the X Factors, I haven't activated any on this card, but he gets Reinforcement for 0, Shutdown for 0, which are both really, really good. I just haven't tested them out on this specific player, but the abilities are good. We talked about how he's a better version of Ronnie Lott. He gets Deep Zone KO for 1 AP, whereas Lott gets it for 2. You think about Jair Brown from the Super Bowl promo, who gets this for 1 as well. Justin Simmons gets it for 1, and he's a little bit taller and faster. And of course, you got your pick artist in the second to last bucket for 0 AP. Inside Shade is not worth it if you use him as a sub linebacker, which I do not. Mid Zone KO for 1 AP is not bad either, but to me, Deep Zone KO, pick artist for 1 AP total, really good combination of a setup for him. Garrett Bowles is a sneaky good card, but the problem is at the end or towards the end of the Season 5 Field Pass, we're all getting a free left tackle in Andrew Whitworth, so this one might be worth it now, but he's going to lose value really, really quickly once everybody unlocks that card, and the abilities are kind of similar, at least they are for the 1 key ability. No X Factors because he's an offensive lineman. Secure Protector for 1 AP is definitely the route to go in the last bucket here because that's going to help neutralize the Colossuses. I don't know if that's a word, but I made it up anyway there. And the Unstoppable Forces. This is the best counter to it on the offensive line. And in the second to last bucket, he does get Identifier for 0 AP. So it's, again, very similar to Andrew Whitworth, but this card is not free, whereas Whitworth is. But Identifier plus Secure Protector for 1 AP is the move on this one. I think we saved the most underrated card for last in left guard Quentin Nelson. He has good attributes, but for the most part, we don't really care about that. It's all about the abilities. And for 2 AP, I know it's a lot right now, especially when you only have 9 on offense, but Omniscient is worth the 2 AP for this very reason. It's 2 abilities in 1. So you're going to get Identifier with this, and you're also going to get Threat Detector, which highlights the blitzers on 3rd and 4th down. With, you know, a lot of dollar blitzes and 6-1 being so popular, this one allows you to kind of figure out what your opponent is running on the most crucial downs in the game. So I have this one activated for 2 AP, and then in the second to last bucket, you got Post Up or Linchpin. Post Up's better for passing the ball. Linchpin's better for running the ball. If you want to spend 3 AP on the card and go Secure Protector, you can, but 1/3 of your entire AP on an offensive lineman is a little bit much. Omniscient, though, definitely worth the 2 AP. We almost ended the video without talking about motivator boosting. We alluded to it a little bit earlier when I showed you my lineup. So all LTDs get access to every single one of these and the free 95 overall Darren McFadden from the Extreme Combine solos. The non-LTDs and 96s might not have access to all of these. So to me, the speed motivator looks like it's the best because it's +2 to speed, but you don't really need speed for your offensive linemen. And the defensive tackles, I think there's only 1 of them in the entire promo. So to me, this one's not really worth it. Same with the power motivator. If you use the power motivator on your offensive linemen because they come with it, that's fine, but otherwise I wouldn't load up on this one. For Acrobat, it's not worth it on the offensive side for wide receivers, halfbacks, fullbacks, quarterbacks. It's definitely worth it on the defensive side. So if you can get Acrobat motivator up to 3, you get +2 zone, +2 jumping, actually +4 jumping. This is why that Tariq Woolen card is so boosted up for me. agility, and then the other two are going to be stop and go. These are easily the best two right here. So on offense, it's going to impact spin, juke, change of direction, agility, and on defense, it's going to give you agility, change of direction, pursue, and man coverage. So really the best three are going to be the two stop and goes, and then acrobat on defense, and these ones are good. Again, the power motivators are good for your offensive linemen. And there you have it. Again, I know it was a very long video, but a lot of crucial information I wanted to get out. Let me know which combine players you're rocking or which ones you're going to pick up after watching this video. Leave it down below in the comment section, and thank you for watching. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.